My day job is as a realtor. I've been a real estate broker for over 40 years on the Central Coast. And as I said, I started Seacoast Seniors 7 years ago in an attempt to educate older adults and their families before the crisis happens. Because nobody thinks the crisis is going to happen. And unfortunately, my experience is that it happens again and again and again. And each time, almost without fail, neither the older adult nor their family has a clue what to do. So that's how Seacoast Seniors was born. We offer these workshops to you free of charge. We put them on every 4 to 6 weeks. And in order to be able to do that for you, we have some sponsors who financially support us. And without them, we would never be able to do these without having to charge you a fee to come. So I'd like to extend a big thank you to Regenesis 360, Santa Maria Terrace, SLG Senior Care, the Villages of Slow, Estate 360, whom we happen to have Dylan Deaton here. He has sponsored us for 7 years. He has just been wonderfully supportive of Seacoast Seniors. Okay, we're going to get going. I'm going to shut that off so I'm not blinding the guests. Okay.
I can already look at you.
Yeah. Now we can see your face.
So, we have some wonderful speakers here today. I want to make sure that you know that there's food and coffee and pastries in the back and water. The restrooms are out this door and to the right. And what we do at Seacoast Seniors is we help older adults and their families get all their ducks in a row so they can embrace and enjoy their aging journey. So how many of you know that downsizing can feel overwhelming? Right, okay. And that is no matter how old you are. Our guest speakers today, we have a move manager and an estate sale person who is going to help you to simplify the process. First, I want to thank Felaine, lovely Felaine at the front door. She's a workshop guest just like you who's volunteered her time to greet today. So thank you, Felaine. She'll be back up here when it's time for the raffle. On your desk or on the table in front of you, you have a place to write some notes, and then separate from the note page is a feedback form. When you fill out your feedback form, you get to have your hole punched on your learning card, and once you have 10 hole punches, you get a $10 Panera card. Can I hear a yay?
Yeah.
Okay, and then let's see. Did everybody get a raffle ticket? Okay, all right. So as I said earlier, today we're going to provide you with some steps you can take now to simplify your downsize, whether you are moving soon or not right away, or if you never want to move, and that's okay too. So how many of you know that downsizing is not really easy? Okay, we fudged a little bit with the title, but our intention today is to help simplify the steps by providing you with tips that not only work, but they're easy to follow. So let's get started, okay?
Okay. I'm Dylan Deaton. I own Estate 360. We're an estate sale and downsizing company. So what we do is sell the assets inside of the house that you're not going to be taking with you on a move or a downsizing of some sorts. We do that through an online platform, so it's less intrusive than an in-person event where you're inviting hundreds of people into your home. Can you hear me okay? Shout. Gotcha. Yep. All right. So we come in basically at the kind of towards the end of things, either when you have already sold a house or are getting ready to list it to sell the contents within the home.
Could you repeat the name of the company?
Estate
360.
And just know that anybody that speaks today or at any of our seminars, if you don't get their number or their name 2 months down the road, you're like, who was that person? Just call me, okay? I can always get a hold of Clarice and Dylan. Can you explain what an estate sale is and how it typically works?
Yeah, so an estate sale is the possessions you're not taking with you. Usually that's going to come at a point when there's 50% or more of the belongings inside of a house that need to be sold or removed from the property.
Okay, so what kind of items usually sell well at estate sales?
I mean, virtually everything sells. The items that sell well are going to be smaller items that are maybe obscure or collectibles, coins, jewelry, art, pottery, things like that. Things that don't sell well are large pieces of furniture. And that's just the market that we're in. You have to think about who's purchasing and furnishing homes in today's current market. That's a younger generation. They don't have as many kids as we used to have. They don't do formal dining, so they don't buy giant dining tables. They don't buy china hutches with formal dining stuff inside of it. So the bigger the piece of furniture, the harder it is to sell.
Dylan,
Yes.
what do you do with the items that do not sell?
We're going to answer that question anyway because it is part of our questions. She asked, and we're going to let this one question slip in. What do you do with the items that don't sell?
Good question. So through our format, we're able to reach a really broad audience being online. So there's not a whole lot that doesn't sell. We usually sell around 98% of the contents of the home. Whatever is left at the end, it's ultimately your decision, the family's decision, if they want to retain those items. If they want them removed, they need an empty home. We'll donate whatever can be donated. If there's items on the property that can't be donated or any trash or debris, we can arrange to have. Sorry about that. So we'll donate whatever can be donated at the end. And if there's any trash, debris, or items that cannot be donated, we'll have those removed as well. So the property will be completely empty and ready for its next stage.
So Dylan?
Yeah.
What kind of items you talked about will sell?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how do you determine the value of the household items?
Well, I mean, the value is really determined by the open market, right? It's whatever those items are selling for today. And so the market decides what it's going to sell for. Certainly, if you have any items that are of value or of concern, you can bring those to our attention and we'll go over with you and provide an estimate of what we know they'll sell for based on current market trends.
So what are some common misconceptions that people have about estate sales, Dylan?
Well, I'd say the biggest common misconception is that estate sales are when someone has passed away. And that's not always the case. Probably a good 50% or more of what we do are folks that are downsizing and planning ahead, whether they're currently moving or about to move. So that's a huge misconception. When people hear the term estate sale, they think it's for the deceased only, and it's not.
Thank you. And if anybody's having trouble hearing, we've got a whole row right here and more seats closer. So please feel free to move up. Dylan, can you share an example of a particularly successful estate sale and why it went well?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest estate sale that we've done to date grossed over $500,000. A lot of that was due to there was a rare guitar collection included in the estate sale, but that was our most successful to date.
And how do you handle items that are more valuable, but may have more sentimental than financial worth? I bet that's something you run into a lot.
That's something we're going to run into on a daily basis. And when I'm touring a property with the homeowners or the clients, and I can I can gauge when someone is starting to talk sentimental about an item, right? They're really upselling the dining table to me or whatever the case is, and I'll kind of steer that conversation in a different direction, and that's when I'll start talking about the value of that item and what it's going to sell for in today's market. And if there's a family member that can use it or want it, it's better that they take it than we sell it if it has a sentimental attachment to it.
Now remember, Dylan is exposing this sale throughout the entire United States. And there are auction sale junkies out there. So if somebody is not bidding on your quote unquote valuable item, it means it's not worth what you think it's worth. Dylan's too nice to say that. So I've had people tell me, I'm a little disappointed that my, gorgeous hutch and, seating for 10 dining room table didn't sell for more money. But I was blown away by that Elvis picture that my husband always insisted on putting on the wall that sold for as much as I thought we'd get for the dining room set. So it's just all relative. Dylan does an amazing job. He has someone come out and photograph everything. His system is just perfect. And did you already tell them about bundling? About bundling items?
No.
He will sell what's under your kitchen sink and that junk drawer. Open up the junk drawer, grab what you need, and leave it. Dylan will sell it, if you would believe it. Okay, so my agreement with Dylan is always that when he leaves, the house will be broom clean. So you don't have to go back and clean up the trash and all of that. He takes care of everything. Dylan, what are the benefits of hiring a professional estate sale person like yourself instead of trying to do it yourself, like with weekly garage sales or something?
Yeah, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of benefits to that. It depends on the situation too, right? There's some properties we go out to and visit with the clients, and they don't have enough stuff to warrant an estate sale, in which case we'll give them other options that they can do themselves, one of which might be hosting their own garage sale, right? But if you have a full house full of stuff and there's a lot of items that, could be valuable, it's going to be imperative to have a professional host your estate sale rather than trying to sell them yourself. And the reason why is you could misrepresent an item, not get the correct value, and the other thing is it's a lot of work. So you're going to be dragging stuff out into the driveway every weekend, and unless you're an expert in marketing and advertising, chances are you're going to get handfuls of people trickling in, and they're going to nickel and dime you for everything that's there. And at the end of the day, you're still going to have a driveway full of stuff, and you're going to be hauling it all back in the garage.
He's right. I told myself 3 garage sales ago that I'll never do another one. And it's the bringing it back in to the house after sitting there all morning and arguing with somebody whether they'll pay a quarter or 50 cents for an item. It's just not worth it to me. And so I finally, 3 garage sales back, I finally just stopped altogether. What do you charge, Dylan? Do you mind if I ask you?
No, that's a great question. So our service fee is structured as a percentage share of the revenue that we generate. And while we don't really utilize a flat rate or a one-size-fits-all, I can tell you that the range is typically going to be somewhere between 35 and 50%. We do utilize a sliding scale for capital items, so usually that's going to be vehicles, boats, fine art, maybe some expensive jewelry. Where the higher those individual items sell for, the lower of a percentage we take on them. Overall, what we do initially is come out and do a consultation to look at the property to decide where we would have to be at to conduct the sale successfully, and then we would issue you a proposal agreement with that exact percentage share of revenue.
And that's certainly worth 40% to me. I don't know about you guys. So I may have already stolen your thunder on this one, What's the biggest surprise clients usually experience when they go through the estate sale process?
Well, I think a lot of it's what you kind of touched on with the item. Most folks are, are going to associate value with maybe their biggest purchase, right? Which is oftentimes furniture. Everyone's associating value with the big ticket items that they've purchased for their home. And usually that's not the case. Usually 99% of the time, our clients do not know what the most valuable item in their house is based on selling it through an estate sale. I guess the other surprising element to it would be the clients are not often around when we're doing our actual pickup process at the end where everything is removed from the house. But the few times that one of them is present, that's always kind of a wow factor for them, is seeing it actually happen in place. Because imagine like a time-lapse camera, right, video of the house just being emptied one vehicle at a time, everything emptying out. So that's pretty surprising.
One of the most beautiful things about working with Dylan is that when everybody sees your items online, they bid on it. He has an online system. Those items are already paid for before they come to pick up the item on pickup day. So Dylan and his crew are very organized. Each item is assigned a number. They pull up and they ask for their already paid for item according to the number that corresponds to the item. He has a runner that goes and grabs it, and off they go. So you don't have people walking through your house, touching things and picking them up, putting them down. You don't have the issue of theft. So it's a pretty awesome service that he provides. Okay, our next guest is Clarice Knupper, and I'm going to let her introduce herself because I think she'd do a better job than I would. Go ahead,
But thank you. And you'll need to tell me if I'm talking too loud because I came from, my mom was an actress and she taught us all how to project. So I can talk very loudly without yelling. Okay. Oh, yay! Okay. My company is called Central Coast Transitions. I started it approximately 8.5 years ago. It started from the fact that I lived it. I lived what I provide my services for. My dad had 8 strokes in 8 years, and it was before there was such a term called aging in place. And he also was Depression era, so he kept everything because he had gone without. But then there's my mom, who couldn't put 2 light things together, so clutter was my state of life growing up as a child. So I was like my grandmother, who, I'm not OCD, but I like things in order. I like a neat place. So I would go home from college and clean up my parents' place. When my dad had his strokes, I started cleaning up their 14 acres. And I realized back then, over 20-something years ago when that was happening, there weren't services around to help them. So when I left the corporate world, I started Central Coast Transitions, and I became a certified senior move manager. I'm also a certified aging in place, and I combine the 2 together so that when I'm relocating, I'm also already planning a safe environment. So, and with that, I've gotten to work with both of these 2 wonderful people for years.
Thank you, Clarice. I am also a certified aging in place professional. That's called CAPS certified. There are very few people on the Central Coast that have the certification, and so you should stick close because there's quite a variety of things. How do you get it? You have to enroll in the course, isn't it?
And National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers and NAIPC.
It's supported by
a lot.
Several large senior organizations. So what exactly does a move manager do, and how is that different from a moving company?
Oh, that's a really good question. We are easily confused by a lot of people in that. The moving companies are designed to come out, they will pack, and they will also load up and relocate your items to the new place, and they'll unload their truck. Very rarely will they unpack. Okay? Where we are different is that we actually develop a floor plan in advance, and we measure your furniture. We help select the items, and we start with the largest being the furniture, then the artwork and the decor, the specialty items. And then because we already have knowledge of all the assisted living facility storage capacities, we already know really how much you'll be able to take. And then our design is to put it away in a safe manner. What people don't realize with aging in place, as you get older, trip hazards become more and more, a greater concern. And so we always plan everything for 3.5 feet or 4-foot width in anticipation of what might be coming down the pipeline, be it a walker or wheelchair, or if you're hurt and you need a gurney to get in and out. So the other thing we do is we plan everything so that everything has a home, so it can be put back. And it is stored in a manner that everyday things are reach, the next area goes down, and then like a grocery store, the least things you use go up high.
That's great. Clarice has helped a number of my clients with their move, and every single one of them, without fail, said, I have no idea how I could have done it without Clarice and yourself.
Thank you.
Myself.
Yeah.
Because we all work together, and it's just a beautiful thing, right, Dylan?
Yeah.
As you form your team, surround yourself with professionals so that you don't have to do it alone. So many people feel overwhelmed, as we've already established. So how do you break it down into manageable steps?
That's a really good question. We always start the process by listening. We go out, we have a free consultation where we go out and we try and learn the whole scope of the project. Because you might be focused on one area, but we might see a solution over here. And we wouldn't know that until we're out there. But listening is key. And then we're also at the same time are doing an assessment on the home and then how you function in the home. And what limitations you may have, be it, I can't just say age because, some are very physically fit and that are older than I am, and yet others aren't. Some have mental limitations. Some have other cognitive type things. Some have medication issues or equipment that requires. All of those we need to take into account for when we are going to actually make your plan. We start with if it is an immediate move or do we have time to plan. Time to plan is far better in my mind because it takes stress off. Because we're assessing your stress levels. How worked up do you get? Because we all have different personalities. I'm a type A. My employee back there on the back is a type B. So we balance each other very well. And how we, and people are impact that way when they're planning. Some are able to set a plan and actually attack the small tasks so that you're taking the baby steps that need to get done. And you can look back and see how far you've gone and accomplished on your task list. Others aren't able to do that. It's a blur to them. Those type tend to be weighed down more with the load and the burdens. And so our joy comes from helping relieve that burden. But we do a detailed plan. We do them in phases so we can just check off where we're going. Some of it is done by you or your family members or a support person. Some we do side by side. Others we come in and can help do it all.
So I would say about a half, 50% of the referrals that I give to Clarice, there's some time to plan. The other 50% or even 60% of the time, something has occurred and we need to get the house sold quickly. Clarice can jump into action, and I sit down first and we create a simple plan, and then I let them know I'd like them to meet Clarice, I'd like them to meet the estate sale person, and when they give me the nod, I jump into action and everybody just starts working. Usually we can do everything start to finish within 2 to 3 weeks. So it's nice if you have the luxury of a month or two, but we can get it done quickly if needed. So what would you say are some of the common mistakes that people make?
Oh, that's a really good question. Okay, when they're downsizing and moving. Okay. So I have to start also by our processes are a little different. If you go out to start, there's a lot of material in books and online that talk about decluttering. You know, do you pick it up and hold it for 30 seconds to decide? Does it speak to you? You know, there's a whole other aspect is to like memories, you know, or is it functional in the new place you're moving to? So we're trying to address all of those when we come in. And you're stepping up on me here.
He told me to step over here
Okay,
so everybody could hear us.
Okay, so we're gonna be buddies.
It's just, I miss you.
I know. So anyway, I forgot my question. You distracted me.
I do that to people. What are some common mistakes?
Oh, yeah, the common mistakes. So
people make.
So one of them that I see is they want to take it all on and try and get it done in like a weekend or 2 weeks. You know, that's really hard when you have been acquiring things your entire lifetime. And so we've developed processes that help simplify it. We look at and we ask questions differently than, you know, holding each item. We look at how you're going to function in your new chapter in your new life at your new location. You know, are you going to be in using a cafeteria plan, the dining room, or are you going to continue to cook? So we ask different kinds of questions because that immediately starts segregating off items that you may not need. Let's say you've accumulated, you know, 30 years of clothes. Well, you might have 4 sizes in there and yet you're only one size. You know, and so we can immediately start by grouping the sizes, and that kind of eliminates. We will go back and pull your most favorite out of there, but we can let go of a lot. Same thing with paperwork. You know, we have people that are already digitizing everything to, you know, where you go in the entire office, you can barely open the door because it's so much paper. So thinking you have to hold on to all that paper, or the biggest mistake is having to look at each and every single piece of paper. You don't have to do that if it's already, you know, if we're doing it by years, unless it's memorabilia again. Family photographs, let's get them digitized, and they can go into a book where you can have a coffee table book of them. They can hold 1,200 photos.
And you do that for them.
And we can coordinate that, and we get that happen for them. So those are just some, you know, just getting overwhelmed in each and every single item is the biggest issue.
Another tip I heard a long time ago, and I've shared this often with people, as you're going through your things, a lot of us, you know, we've lost loved ones. There's just sentimental attachment to so many things in the house, representing a memory, or just when you purchased it, or, you know, just for so many different reasons. You have an emotional attachment. A really good idea, I think, and a lot of people seem to embrace, is to take a picture of each one of those items that means so much to you and start a scrapbook and write a little blurb about each picture that you put, and Clarice will go get them developed for you, and write a little blurb about each picture, and then you have your scrapbook with your memories, and you can open your scrapbook anytime you want to look at and to go back on your memories without having to honestly rent a 10 by 10 storage unit for all your stuff. It just doesn't make any sense, you know. So
and if I could add one more thing, I like that too. One more thing is on those framed photographs everywhere. If you're going into a smaller facility, you may not be able to take all those framed photographs and hang them. So we always recommend taking them out of the frame, you know, and then you're having, that brings it down. There are containers out there that if you have 4x6 prints, obviously, if you have like, my husband was in sports, so we documented every game he played, and we ended up with thousands of photographs. But one container about this big can hold over 1,000 4x6 pictures. So that's much smaller than giant tubs and pictures frames and all of that. So
what strategies do you use when families disagree about what should be done with the belongings?
Wow, that one is hard. So first and foremost, my client is who I'm responsible for. Okay, it is their belongings. Okay, they own it. So if my client is the actual owner, or if it's a power of attorney and they have to, show us that they're prove that, I guess, with an actual document, we are working with the family member who may want it. And so contention starts. And so we very friendly and gently remind them who owns it and who has the final say. We first and foremost, it's going to go with the owner. The next would be the legacy or the family member or beneficiary. And then we would go to estate sale, then donate, then recycle, and then landfill. So we do have that process, but we have a series of questions that we ask to diffuse. We have methods where we can even document and put it into an inventory and send it out if people want to put a claim to it, so it can come back. And not like in a contentious situation, the client can then, excuse me, Kevin, can you grab some napkins, please? Okay. That's okay. The client can then look at the inventory and decide who they want to have whatever item it may be. They may want it because they see monetary value. They may want it because it has, memory to them, and so the actual owner or the POA can help make that final decision. But we try to be neutral. We try to keep the family together because, to me, family's first.
And I want to point out to all of you right now, if this process that Clarice is sharing with you is making you feel a little overwhelmed and you're having trouble keeping up, don't worry about it. Because when you, as I mentioned earlier, my day job is as a realtor. So if you do decide, I usually say this at the end, but if you do decide that you're going to sell your house, we appreciate it very much if you would consider allowing me to help you sell your home. If you do that, I get to have some food with my meals because all of my Seacoast seniors services are free. And I come in and once you hire me, we talk about hiring Clarice and we talk about possibly hiring Dylan too. You don't have to make all these decisions. You don't have to remember any of this. Clarice will just step in and we get it done. It sounds a lot more complicated than it is. When it's complicated is when you're trying to do it yourself. Okay, so how do you help make a new home feel like a home when someone's leaving a place that they lived in for decades?
Oh, that is my most favorite part of the whole job, because I love interior decorating and I love coming into seeing people's homes and what's special to them. So part of our process, not only have we measured the new place, we've measured the furniture so we know it's going to fit. Then the joy comes, because then I have them go through room by room with me and we pick out their most favorite pieces, be it artwork, be it photographs, be it knickknacks or bric-a-brac or I don't know, beer steins or, whatever it might be, and so we go through and we ensure that those can also be placed into the new place, into the new home. And the reason we do that, because everything else is secondary in my mind by that. That's the clothing, the dishes, that kind of stuff. It's the stuff that brings them joy, peace, and happiness. I want them surrounded with. And so that we stage it, and we want them, when we do, we supervise the load up, the transfer, the unload, and then my team comes in, we unpack, and we stage the entire place for them. We hang the pictures, we, wall mount the TVs. If they need, the special seat on the toilet, that's installed, computers are hooked up. We do it all, make their beds, hang their clothes. And so when they walk in the door, it's all done for them and they can just breathe. And I can't tell you how many times people have started crying, men and women, because the stress is gone, the joy is there. And there are tears of joy and happiness because their most special things are with them. They haven't lost them. They already are facing a sense of loss of their independence by having to downsize and having to give up so much. It's my job to try and keep as much as I can and make it a safe and joyful place for them.
But sometimes downsizing is just simply that, downsizing. Mm-hmm. You're not losing any independence,
Mm-hmm.
It's just a smart move. So what advice would you give to someone who isn't moving yet but wants to start preparing?
That's a good one too. And starting to prepare, start making, I always like to have a notebook, a spiral notebook close by so you can start writing down your thoughts. Because it may come to you in the middle of a movie, it may come to you while you're on the phone call with somebody, but write down something that's really important that maybe you haven't seen for a while, but you might forget it if you don't write it down. So you start a list of things that are must takes, must keep, must have with me, okay? Then you're going to go and you're going to start on another page thinking of things that you would like to do in this new chapter in your life. What are you going to do when it's all downsized and the weight's off of me? Because it is amazing when you start unloading, you do have that sense, you do stand a little taller, because you're not carrying all of that. And you know that everything in life, until I use that legacy, keep, legacy, that whole list, everything still has purpose until you get to the landfill. Okay, so we want to keep knowing that it has purpose, maybe not for you, but for somebody else, can also give you joy. Knowing that, yes, it served you well, but now it can go on and serve somebody else well. That helps letting go of, actually.
Okay, final question. What's one thing you wish every family understood before they start the downsizing process?
I'm going to read this because this is one question I did really, I put a lot of thought to.
As long as it's not too long.
Oh, gosh, no.
Yeah. Okay,
No.
perfect, perfect.
It's just a little thing.
I saw you stick up a stack of papers.
Well,
I'm like,
her questions can be hard, and I
We're
have
in a
to think
timeline
them
here.
through. I know, because you guys don't know this about me, but I can talk and talk and talk. She knows it, so she keeps me.
I know these people well.
So anyway, I'm going to just read this. Okay, it says to her question, it's not just about stuff. It's about honoring a lifetime of memories. Families should approach the process with patience, kindness, and respect, which will make it far smoother for everyone involved. The process becomes a gift instead of a burden when families understand that the real goal is to create a safe place, one that can still bring joy while serving as a place of respite, a place that enables peace of mind for the elder. It's not just about clearing and cleaning out a house.
That's excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Clarice. Okay, so I want you all to remember that the decision to where you're going to move, when you're going to move, and how your lifestyle is going to look is best made by you rather than someone else. I caution you not to wait until the crisis happens because you are going to be disoriented, and it's better to make these decisions now while you have more choices, because when you become incapacitated, God forbid if that happens, your choices are limited. So we're going to go into a question and answer session. And if we don't get to your question, no comments, please, just questions. And one question per person. And if we don't get to your questions, our speakers are going to stay after the workshop ends to answer any personal questions that you might have. So we want to make sure that you don't leave today without having your questions answered. Okay, so we're going to start the Q&A. So who has a question? And who is it for? And I'll repeat.
Individual.
Okay. So there is a contract that's signed with Clarice and Dylan after they come out to visit. If you want him to move forward, yes. With me, my services are free, but I will work with you. How can I put this? If you do have a home that you're going to sell eventually, you can use my services all day long, connecting you with resources, etc. As long as down the road, if you do decide to sell, that you will give me a healthy chance at being able to do that for you. I am still working. I do like food with my meals, like I said. So even though all my Seacoast Senior services are free, at some point, I have to kind of step back, But that said, in 7 years, I've never turned anyone away. So that should tell you a little bit about how I work. I just don't turn people away. But that is what I do for a living. So it's, that's the only time I get paid is if someone sells their house. Does that make any sense? Yeah. So what is your name again? Robin. So if you called me tomorrow and said, I'm thinking about moving, I may or may not move, in 5 years or so. But if I did, of course, I'd consider using you. It's not a commitment. Then you would have me all day long, because I believe in people's words, and it's not a hard commitment. It's a soft commitment. And I'm okay with that. Okay. I don't get crazy behind that sort of thing because I don't know, I'm a lover, not a fighter, right? And so I'm a pretty significant realtor in the area. I don't need your business, but again, that's how I get paid. So that's how I work. Hope that explains it. Is there another question? Yes, Larry.
Clarice, do you have a name for your company?
What's the name of Clarice's company?
It's Central Coast Transitions, LLC.
Okay, next question. Oh, Curtis.
Clarice, how do you charge for your services?
Clarice, how do you charge for your services? They want to get right down to the nitty gritty here.
So it is, we do charge $95 an hour per staff person. We come out, as I said, we have a free consultation where we assess the situation. We develop a plan based in phases of implementation. And we work with different organizations in the community that will help look, they're nonprofits, and depending on insurance or veteran relationships, we can get discounts for you on services and products. And if you're SenCal, we can get up to $7,500 if it's a hoarding clean out, or $7,500 toward relocation. I should also. Oh.
Small home.
You know what? It truly, it is very diverse, and I'll tell you the reason why. Okay, so it makes a really big difference if the place is spotless and everything is organized and they're a minimalist, versus the same size home in somebody who's a squalor, which is different than a hoarder. And it's really bad when there are combinations. So it can really range from, let's just say, 20 hours to, oh, no, we've been in places where it's thousands of hours.
Would you say squalor?
Squalor. My definition of a squalor is someone who chooses to live in filth. Their behavior is such that they don't bother.
Anything back, Clarice?
I know. I'm sorry. I live this. I'm sorry. But no. It's just they choose to not pick up after themselves. They choose not to clean the toilet. They choose not to wash out the refrigerator or throw the trash out. So that's not hoarding. Hoarding's a mental disorder.
So keep in mind that when Clarice shows up, 95% of the time she's getting your house ready for sale. That's why.
Sorry.
It's so funny. I have a cleaning lady that comes every 2 weeks, and I tell people it's just to keep us out of living in squalor. And she's great. I love her to bits. I refer her all the time, but I'm not going to walk around, with a white glove checking to make sure she did. In fact, I asked her one day, when do you clean the oven, Paula? And she looked at me and she goes, when? Because apparently she never did. And I didn't even realize it because I don't do a lot of baking. So I know. But yeah, everybody's different. I would say one thing that's really wonderful about the way Clarice works is if you are selling your home, she will usually be okay with being paid out of escrow. So if you have equity in your home, as long as it's not for an extended period of time before you sell your home, if you have equity in your home and you're netting $150 to and more $1,000 in your pocket when you close escrow, really honestly, what's $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever it costs to to have this kind of peace of mind and help. I have a lot of people that tell me, no, I'm just going to do it myself, and they reject the idea of having Clarice come speak to them. And usually within a week, they're in their moving crazies, which is really hard on me because they're calling me every couple of days, just basically losing their mind trying to go through everything. So think long and hard before you reject the notion of paying for a move manager. It is worth its weight in gold, and I've never had a client say, "Ah, she wasn't worth it. That was a waste of money." Not once in all these years. So that's a plug for you, darling. Okay. Any other questions? Back there. Right. So she's asking, and that's a great question, because if you're not moving, but you just want somebody to come in and get you organized and get rid of the declutter, maybe it's Clarice. Having Clarice in your pocket is like having your best friend by your side, holding your hand from beginning to end of your project. That's the bottom line. So she'll, and if you don't feel up to it, you can sit on the darn couch and she will go through a box and pick things up. Is this important? Oh, and she's got her piles. Trash, donate, take. And she is so darn efficient, you wouldn't believe it. But can I answer for you just to keep the questions going? Because the answer is yes, right? She charges her hourly. And yes, if you're not moving, her services are made available to you.
And there is a nonprofit out there, and I'm trying to recall the name, but it will help you find a roommate, or if you want to be a roommate, and they act as like a facilitator, arbitrator for you. So there is that capability.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Question. I'm sure you could work something out. If you're ready to write a check, I'm sure she'll be there. Okay?
I do have long-term clients. I have one that's strictly paper. We started with an office build to where I couldn't walk in the room, and now he's down to one set of, this is his last year, of paperwork, this much. The rest of it's been digitized.
So the question, I'm sorry I didn't repeat it, was can you keep Clarice on retainer? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Okay, any more questions? Right here.
Question. Do you have a staff, Clarice?
Yes.
Yes, she has an amazing crew.
So you have
My long-term project manager, and in the back, I'd like to introduce Kevin Kelly. Can you stand for just a second?
Yes, and Kevin is amazing.
And he's a certified mover, and so he's my go-to on heavy lifting.
Okay, so any other, one more right here.
I'm here because I have no intention of moving. I'm living in a house on my son's property. What I want to do is clean out so that when I do leave the planet, it makes it as easy as possible for my family. And I'm not OCD, I'm CDO, which is OCD in alphabetical order. But I keep every piece of business paper that comes in on a weekly file. I need to learn, what do I have to keep? How do I handle it differently?
Sure.
Those are the.
So her question is pretty close to what we just answered. If you're not moving and you just want your house in order, so when you do pass, that the family isn't going to have a big miserable mess to sort through, then can Clarice help you? And the answer is a resounding yes. Okay?
That would also be a team effort with Dylan. If we're doing an estate sale or downsizing sale, so it could be a team effort if there's enough to do an estate sale. We come in and are able to do a pre-purge, because a lot of people don't know the difference between what can be donated versus what can be sold. Like they talked about selling the chemicals underneath, and so we work a lot of times where I come through with my team and we pre-purge, we remove trash. We separate out donation, leaving him his ability to do his estate sale. And so that would be very beneficial for you as well.
I don't have enough stuff. I don't think it would amount to a table full of.
It would be better to just talk.
We'll talk afterwards.
One-on-one.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Okay.
hold this for you.
Okay, so we do have a downsizing made easy guide that is available to you if you invite me over to talk about creating a simple plan. And I give it to you absolutely free. It discusses creating a plan, communicating your wishes to family and friends, how to do that. And that doesn't mean asking them for permission. Surrounding yourself with qualified professionals, sorting, organizing, and simplifying, and how to, when you're finished, take the time to celebrate your new lifestyle. So as we close today, I would just want to touch on selling your home if that's your plan. It's okay to sell as is. You know, there's a lot of TV programs out there that will convince you that you have to do all these major repairs or improvements to modernize your home in order to be able to sell it. And some of the realtors out there are like black belt Nazis, you know, when it comes to selling your house. And that is ridiculous. If you want to sell your home as is, that is perfectly fine. When people tell you, and realtors will tell you this, and you know how we only hear parts of what people say anyway. If you have heard that you can no longer sell your house as is, that means that yes, you can sell it as is, but if you have knowledge of a defect in the home, it has to be disclosed. End of story. So please know that you do not have to go out and do a remodel to sell your home. The other thing is, please call me before embarking on any kind of expensive improvements to the home. So often people come to me and they have spent $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 or more on improvements that isn't going to increase the value that they get for their home one iota, and it just breaks my heart. So just call me. I am so easy to work with. Just text me, call me. A lot of you in here, I've had long-term relationships with. Who in here has known me for a while? Dave, Ted, come on, can you raise your hands high? There you go. So any one of these people in here will attest to the fact that I am not going to pounce on you. That's not my style. Like I said before, I'm a lover, not a fighter. If you don't see my value, then that's fine, because there's plenty of people that will. But don't hesitate to reach out to me. It's not going to be a bad experience. It's always going to be a good experience. Oh, thank you, David. And if I can't help you, then I know someone who probably can. And that's what the beauty of Seacoast Seniors is. Our mission is to educate, equip, and empower older adults. And we do that through our free workshops for the education part, and my tremendous resource team of over 150 senior-related professionals in the area that we can connect you with. And these are every single person that I connect you with, I have a personal relationship with, and I would refer to my own family. Okay? So it was important to me today that I mentioned that about selling as is, because it's surprising to me how many people are running around with misinformation. So call me anytime. I don't care if you're selling or not selling. Just call me. I'm always there for you. Okay, so I would like to give a big hand to Clarice and Dylan for coming today. They're not getting paid for this. You know, they have a heart for seniors and or older adults, and they too have seen the ugly side of when people aren't prepared. And so they come here, they're giving up a whole morning, and in their business, time is money. And they've given up their whole morning because they feel so strongly about wanting to be able to help you. So we're going to have a raffle in a minute. I want to make sure each and every one of you has a raffle ticket. Okay. And don't forget to fill out your feedback forms. Your feedback forms are so important to me. It really helps us stay on track. And also, if you fill out the feedback form, you get a hole punched on your learning card. So thank you all for coming. I'm so happy you're here. And it's such an honor to be able to present these workshops to you. We love you. Be safe out there. And we'll see you next time. Oh, our next seminar is October 29th, I believe. It's a Wednesday. I think I have that date right. And it's getting the scoop on senior living communities. Okay? And we're going to have some amazing people here. So be sure that if this is your first time, that I have your contact information. So either your email, if you use email, but if you prefer something mailed in, by snail mail, then, or the post office, then just write your address and we will go ahead and just send you a hard copy of the invitation. Okay? Thanks, everybody.